Let me tell you something straight off. There's nothing like watching the neighborhood queen bee. The same woman who's been riding your case for months get frog marched off your porch by the sheriff, her little HOA master key dangling from her hand like it was going to save her from handcuffs. I mean, you ever see a person go from smug to ghost white that fast? If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I'd say it was something out of a sitcom, except it was real, and I was right there on my own welcome mat, breathing in the sweet air of overdue justice. So picture this, Sheriff Andrew James' hand steady on his holster badge glinting in the morning sun. Yeah, just like in the movies, steps out from behind my cabin door and says, "All calm and official, ma'am. I need you to step back from the door and place your hands where I can see them." And there's Karen Reed, the self-proclaimed president of Pine Valley Estates Homeowners Association, standing on my porch with her mouth opening and closing like she's about to swallow the air itself. But I'm the HOA president, she stammers, like that's supposed to grant her a magical get-out-of-jail-free card. That's nice, ma'am. Now please step back. Man, you can't script that kind of karma. But let me back up a sec. You're probably wondering how it came to this. How a paralegal with a love for peace and privacy ended up trapping an HOA tyrant red-handed. Trust me, this story's got more twists than Karen's interpretations of the community bylaws. Oh, by the way, drop a comment and let me know where you're tuning in from. Always curious who else has stared down an HOA dragon and lived to tell the tale. All right, it started about 8 months before the sheriff came calling. I just bought my dream place in Pine Valley Estates, a little slice of heaven, tucked back in the mountains, 3 acres of towering pines, and a simple rustic cabin that predated the HOA by a good 15 years. I'm Richard Bailey, paralegal by trade, peace and quiet guy by nature, and apparently the only one in the neighborhood who reads legal documents for fun. The cabin had belonged to old Philip Rivera, nicest man you'd ever meet, kept that place up for decades. And when he moved to be near his grandkids, I swooped in. Every box checked, every permit neat and tidy, the whole 9 yards. I even made sure the HOA covenants couldn't touch me. Grandfather Claus, baby. My cabin was basically untouchable, or so I thought. First month, it was heaven. Weekend fixes evenings by the fireplace, waking up to nothing but birds and the wind in the trees. Then, late March rolls around and my peace gets interrupted by a knock on the door. Enter Karen Reed, mid-50s, perfect blonde hair blazer that probably cost more than my truck payment, and a clipboard she wielded like a sword. She introduced herself as the HOA president, said she was just welcoming me to the neighborhood, but I could tell from her tone, charming little place wasn't exactly a compliment. I wasn't aware anyone was living in the old Rivera cabin, she said, peering down her nose. I showed her the deed. Cabin's been here since '87, way before the HOA. Her smile barely twitched. We'll need to review your situation to make sure you comply with current standards. You know that feeling when someone's already decided you're guilty? Yeah, that. 3 days later, first violation notice hits my mailbox. Karen cited some landscaping regulation that only applied to homes built after 2010, and also, only if you didn't live in a forest. I called her up, tried to clear things up. That's your interpretation, she snapped. But I'm looking at the same regulation and I disagree. Never mind what the words actually say. If Karen wants it to apply, it applies. That was just the beginning. She sent notice after notice, mailbox too close to the road driveway, the wrong material, house color, not on some mythical list. Every time I countered with the actual rule, she'd just send a new violation for something else. I started keeping files, every letter, every response, every regulation. My paralegal brain kicked in. If you're going to deal with crazy, you need receipts. Then one day I come home and find a county inspector poking around my property. Someone called in a complaint about illegal construction, he says, looking almost embarrassed. But your place is fine. All the records are good. Looks like a waste of everyone's time. I ask who called. Of course it was Karen. I call her up and she says, "That's your opinion." She disagreed with the inspector too. At that point, I realized she wasn't just strict. She thought HOA president meant neighborhood dictator. Next HOA meeting, I go public. Bring my stack of documentation, try to address the board. Karen shuts me down after 30 seconds. That's your interpretation of the bylaws, Mr. Bailey. The rest of the board just stares at the floor. Nobody's home. After the meeting, I corner the vice president, Jennifer. She shrugs. If Karen says there's a violation, there's probably a violation. Nobody wanted to cross her. Nobody. Then June hits, and I get a certified letter, $2, $350 in fines, supposedly racked up since March, with threats of foreclosure if I don't pay up. By Karen's math, she was tacking on compound interest and made-up admin fees. That's when I called Brenda Myers a bulldog of an attorney who specialized in HOA abuse. She took one look and said, "This is illegal top to bottom. We're going to hit them with a cease and desist, then file suit if they don't back down. Meanwhile, keep documenting everything." Brenda's letter was a masterpiece, 8 pages of legal whoop-ass citing state law and demanding they prove their case. Karen's response. Another violation notice this time. Apparently my cabin was too noisy. I live alone in the woods with no one around for hundreds of feet. Brenda just laughed. Every bogus notice just makes our case stronger. But Karen kept escalating. Notices for unauthorized window coverings. I had plain blinds. Unapproved generator mine was fully permitted. Failure to maintain landscaping same trees that had been there 35 years. Fines piled up to over $4,500, all bogus. Brenda filed for injunctive relief and countersued for harassment. Court date was set for August, but Karen decided to take things up a notch. That's when she tried breaking into my cabin. I heard keys jingling, peeked out the window, and there's Karen using what must have been an old master key, trying to let herself in. I grabbed my phone and recorded the whole thing, her muttering about hidden violations, opening my front door, poking around inside like she was on a reality show. I called 911. Someone's broken into my home. Sheriff James showed up, caught Karen red-handed. She came out of my cabin still arguing that, as HOA president, she had the right to inspect for violations without my permission, without a warrant. Sheriff James was having none of it. "Ma'am, that's breaking and entering." She demanded he arrest me for HOA violations. He said, "Ma'am, HOA violations are civil matters. I can't arrest him for tall grass, but I can arrest you for breaking and entering." And that's exactly what he did. Word spread fast. Local paper ran the story, "HOA president arrested for breaking into resident's home." Suddenly other folks came forward. Turns out I wasn't the only target. The board called an emergency meeting, suspended Karen, and started reviewing all her violation notices. I got a letter a week later, every notice against my property rescinded, all fines wiped clean. But Brenda wasn't satisfied. She wanted accountability. The criminal case stuck. Karen pleaded guilty to trespassing, got probation, community service, and a fine, and was permanently barred from HOA leadership. The civil suit was even sweeter. The HOA's insurance caved, settled for $25,000, paid my legal fees, wrote a public apology, and best of all, implemented real changes. Now, every violation notice had to be reviewed by an independent attorney. There's an appeals process. Board members get trained on property law. No more dictatorships. But it gets juicier. Turns out Karen had been running a little side racket, funneling fine money into personal accounts. State Attorney General stepped in. She was charged with embezzlement and fraud, ordered to pay back $40,000. House went up for sale. She moved out in disgrace. Jennifer Robinson took over as president, and for the first time, the HOA actually served the residents instead of terrorizing them. You know what's wild? The stuff Karen said was a violation. The generator, the blinds, the gravel driveway. It's all still there. None of it ever broke a rule. The only thing that changed is that now I can enjoy my property in peace without some petty tyrant inventing new fines to squeeze cash out of the neighborhood. I see Karen around sometimes, hiding behind sunglasses in the grocery store or filling up at the gas station. She doesn't say a word, just hustles off like a kid caught cheating on a test. Tried to join a different HOA board, but nobody wants her after what happened. She's working part-time as a bookkeeper, and if you check her social media, HOA president mysteriously disappeared from her bio. That's poetic justice right there. Pine Valley Estates has come a long way. Board meetings are open and respectful. Residents' voices actually matter, and the neighborhood feels like, well, a community instead of a fiefdom. People are less afraid, more involved, and the board finally follows the law. All because one person decided to push back instead of roll over. And here's what I want you to remember. Bullies like Karen only have the power you give them. She counted on people being scared of official-sounding letters and made-up rules, but when someone finally said prove it, her whole scam fell apart. If you're dealing with an HOA nightmare document, everything look up the actual laws and don't let fear keep you quiet. Trust me, justice isn't just for TV. Sometimes it happens right on your own front porch. So what do you think? Is it ever right to challenge authority even when everyone else stays silent? Or should we always follow the rules even when they're being twisted against us? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's hear your HOA horror stories, your victories, your close calls. And don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life tales of neighborhood justice. Maybe together we can make sure no one else ever has to face another Karen Reed again.